Good morning, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Health Discourse with Sakshi and Sushant. So, Sushant, hi, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, very well.
So, today we are going to discuss about mental health issues. Mental health is something which has been disregarded and not given much importance since quite a long decades. But now, past 4 5 years, people are giving it some importance. As we can see, there are with growing cases of depression, anxiety, and stress. People are really suffering because of these issues, and a lot of if I were to say, more than 20% people are suffering from depression at this point as we speak. So, Sushant, I would really like to know here that why exactly is depression on a rise, right, among populations from across the world, not only India, it's everywhere. And secondly, is genetics at anywhere? Is genetics at a play over here? And what is the role of nutrition in this whole concept of stress?
Stress and depression are something, what I'll say is the number one reason for a range of diseases, right? Including metabolic diseases, digestive issues, hormonal imbalances, lot of systemic health conditions, right? And the cognitive health or the cognitive function of body, it is an interplay of multiple biological processes. And one of the important aspect is the HPA axis, that the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal gland axis, right? And this particular thing axis actually regulates our stress response. And to answer your question, genes doesn't have anything to do with your depression, right? It is always about the expression of the genes that changes our physiology, right? And again, so gut microbiome has a very vital role to play, right? Gut microbiome, which actually have for every human cells, they have 10 cells inside our body, right? And in terms of genes, genetic expression, right? Microbes express around 2 million genes versus a humans expressing only 25,000 genes, right? So essentially, microbes have a role to play, right? And we all know the gut-brain connection, right? But there is various pathways through which gut and brain communicate to each other, through immune pathway, through metabolic pathway, through neural endocrine pathway. So one is the neuroendocrine pathway, is the HPA axis, right? So you have to see, uh, ideally, the cognitive health, the HPA axis, and the microbiome, right? They communicate through various modes. One is obviously vagus nerve. So through gut to brain, the vagus nerve is connected, right? Then we have the neurotransmitters. So a lot of these neurotransmitters are produced by our gut microbiome, right? The metabolites production, right? The production of pro-inflammatory metabolites or lack of production of anti-inflammatory metabolites is something which has a role to play. And again, the blood-brain barrier regulation, right? So obviously that regulation is there, so a lot of things can move to the brain, right? And then hormone metabolism. So there's multiple things here, right? But before that, for everyone listening, I'll just go a step back and explain why microbiome is important, right? Uh, so I've shared few data. Probably, our body is a container for trillions of microorganisms, right? They express more genes that we express as humans, right? And so it starts even before the birth, right? So during the birth canal, the child, while taking birth, absorbs a lot of this mother's gut and vaginal microbiome, and even after the birth, during the lactation period, right, a lot of these microbes pass on through breast milk to the individual, to the newborn, right? And again, whatever breast milk comes, it actually cannot be metabolized by the baby. It is metabolized by the gut microbes. They convert into beneficial stuff like short chain fatty acids, which helps in your brain development and helps in your overall immune system development, your strengthen your gut lining, right? So essentially, the health of the mother's microbiome has a key role to play in the child's overall development. First 3 years is something is the development of this organ called microbiome, and again after 3 years, it takes a shape of an adult microbiome, right? So essentially, and then microbiome has a role to play in various aspects through production of various metabolites, neurotransmitters, right? Substrate metabolism, hormone regulation, regulating blood sugar, so multiple things, right? So essentially, it is really connected. So when we talk of stress, so there are two things. One is the what we have is the environmental stress, right? Which is because of our relationship, because of the financial aspects, right?
So
So they might,
stress from whatever situations are going on in the life. It's
yeah. So
okay,
what happens
external
is when
environment.
so you may have seen if you have stress, depression, anxiety, probably you would have digestive issues and vice versa, right? So why is it so? So what happens is when there is a stress response, the HPA axis gets activated and releases so adrenal gland releases cortisol, right? And again, cortisol we all know is a stress hormone, right? We need it, right, for various development processes, various cellular processes, but it is the excess of cortisol which causes problem because there are a lot of cortisol receptors on our gut cells, right? Basically, epithelial cells and immune system cells and endocrine cells, right? And this cortisol do impact your intestinal permeability, your gut transit time. So gut transit time means how quickly your food reaches from your mouth to gut and it's processed and the waste goes out of your faces, right? So again, it is gut transit time does if it's too slow, it will lead to constipation. If it's too fast, it will lead to diarrhea. So there has to be a regulatory gut transit time, and again, so cortisol impact your gut transit time, impact your intestinal permeability, impact your nutrient availability, right? So it is actually impacting a lot of intestinal functions through immune system dysfunction as well, right? So essentially, cortisol can uh, impact your digestive issues, right? And again, excess cortisol not only impact this thing but also lead to overproduction of prolactin, right? Prolactin does impact your hair health, your skin health. You will have so probably you would have seen people who have stress have acne, have skin issues, right? Even it increases the production of estrogen and and lowers the thyroid production. So it is also linked to your infertility issues in male and female both, right? So that's why they say do not stress, not take stress. That is one aspect of it, right? So when the stress is obviously it leads to gut dysbiosis, right? And again, gut dysbiosis leads to digestive issues. On the other hand, when your nutrition choices are bad, you're feeding bad things so that your microbiome is not producing the right thing. So what happens is that uh, internally, when you eat something, your microbes could sense some nutrients or some food ingredients, and it leads to expression of certain genes, right? That genes can be good or bad. If it's a bonus gene, it leads to production of pro-inflammatory metabolites, right? Which could trigger, which actually leads to production of certain cytokines and upregulation of pro-inflammatory molecules, which travels to the brain through blood-brain barrier and start doing inflammation there. So as a result, it activates your HPA axis, and again it overproduces cortisol, and again it impacts your digestive issues, and again we have got dysbiosis, and this goes on, right? So it's a vicious cycle. So if you have environmental level stress, it will impact your gut dysbiosis, it will impact various aspects of your health. You will have digestive issues, you have skin issues, hair issues, your blood sugar level will go haywire, right? Or if you have stress, if you're eating something wrong, your microbiome could produce trigger secretion of pro-inflammatory molecules, which could go to your brain, start doing inflammation, produce cortisol. So again, uh, it would trigger the gut disease goes on. That is the one aspect of it. Other is
Also, here I would like to ask what happens when people resort to drugs for depression, these the antidepressants and all these other drugs.
so these what they do is again, they improve the production, say, regular concentration of serotonin in the brain, right? But it doesn't work for one third of the people, right? And again, every time
And
you have to
why is it not going to work for one third population? What is the
because
reason
your
behind
drug
it?
because your drugs are going to dysregulate your gut microbiome. It kills off a lot of microbes, right? And again, it is again going to cause uh, production of cortisol through HPA axis, right? And also to understand that so few things we need to understand. So neurotransmitters such as serotonin, dopamine, right? Your histamine, your choline, right? Your GABA, right? We all know these are required for your brain health. So GABA is cause the relaxation. We know about cortisol very well. We know serotonin is happiness hormone, and dopamine gives us pleasure, right? So these neurotransmitters are produced by your gut microbiome. So if your gut microbiome is imbalanced by to your drugs, it may work for some time for a temporary time, but again, it will suppress the production of these neurotransmitters, right? Which is again going to impact your brain health, right? So one thing, other thing is, need to consider the uh, epinephrine and norepinephrine production. Again, these are the hormones which is required for your regulating your fight and flight response. To some extent, it is required. So again, all the hormones you need to balance it out. You can't have low of it. You can't have more of it, right? So again, certain microbes, if your gut is imbalanced, it can increase the production of epinephrine or epinephrine production, right? And it is set to increase your heart rate, elevate your blood pressure level, elevate your blood glucose level, cause anxiety, stress, depression, right? So again, depending upon your, obviously, when you're taking stress, it is going to impact your entire bodily function. So when you have high fight and flight response, it gives a message to your body that, oh, you're getting attacked by someone, right? Probably shut down all these non-essential systems, right? So that's why you have digestive issues, you have immune dysfunction, you have overactive immune response, you have inflammation, right? So again, stress is one of the major factors, right? So either it is an environmental induced stress or your dietary choice induces stress to gut microbiome, right? Even the certain microbes in the mouth, if your oral microbial disbalances, right? Certain microbes could translocate to different parts of body, could cross the blood-brain barrier, go to the brain and start doing inflammation there. That's one of the reasons why you would also have increased risk of dementia, right? So this is so whether it is gut or oral microbiome, there are multiple pathways at play. So what we look at, right, is something we at Gene Freakletics, we look at various production of various metabolites or lack of production of neurotransmitters. For instance, we'll look at the production of lipopolysaccharides, ammonia, again, short chain fatty acids, right? Short chain fatty acids is really, really important because it strengthens your gut lining. It helps the brain communication, right? Because we know that the gut and brain communicate through various pathways, immune pathways, and metabolic pathways, and endocrine pathways, right? So short chain fatty acids is really, really essential. If your body is not producing it, probably you would have disturbed blood sugar level, you would have mood issues, you will have a lot of food cravings, right? So, so essentially, second thing, what we look at neurotransmitter production. So we look at serotonin production. We look at your dopamine production. We look at your histamine overproduction. We look at choline metabolism, right? Serotonin, obviously, we do GABA production. We look at, right? So based on that, we could be looking at your biological sample. We could tell you whether you are depressed, you are moving towards depression, or you're moving away from depression, right? Just looking at your these pathways, these metabolites being secreted on neurotransmitter, what is the level of neurotransmitter being produced. And even we also asked customers to fill a PHQ-9, which is again questionnaire. We could, based on their inputs, we could evaluate whether the person is depressed or not. That's again revalidate the R pathways, what we have evaluated using our system biology approach, using sequencing your microbiome. Yeah.
So I think what you have told is a very significant amount of information about stress. But what do you suggest for people who are already going through a lot of antidepressants, who have done all of that regimen, and it's not really working out for them? What would you suggest for those people? Because we have come across such people during our up the gut webinars and all, right? So what would you suggest for those people?
So, first thing is you have to understand antidepressants are not going to work. One drug is given to kill a symptom, right? So it may kill symptom, it may create three more. You may take three more drugs, it will create three more, right? And that's how it goes on, right? So essentially, you really need to focus on your nutrition, right? Uh, do exercise at least 45 minutes a day, right? 3 to 5 times a week, right? It do regulate your. So when you're doing this, probably it regulates your that saying that your body, everything is fine. There's no need to panic, right? And that's how your biological systems come back to normal shape, right?
And
Uh,
I also suggest something here, Sushant. I think contact with soil is very important because soil do have some
yes,
improved
yeah, yeah.
serotonin. That's what I've
So I
learned.
missed studying this that soil health. So if you are playing in mud, you're playing outside, you are spending time in nature, especially for your kids, right? Do not prevent them from playing in soil because soil do have certain microbes which can help you improve the serotonin production, and it is very specific for the people uh, whose child have sort of indications of the neurodegenerative disorders or neurological disorders such as autism, right? So we have a specific autism product where we look at various pathways in terms of what is causing autism, and in terms of certain nutrients. I would like to add here that we should look at your food should have a lot of vitamin D, vitamin B12, vitamin B6, magnesium, right? Omega-3 fatty acids, right? Foods such as resistant starch and dietary fiber, which which increases the production of short chain fatty acids such as bitrate, right? Tryptophan again, tryptophan you should have in diet, but again you have to see before that because tryptophan can help in production of serotonin, but it also can lead to production of endocyl sulfate, which could trigger multiple metabolic health issues. So again, it all depends upon what specific microbes are there in your gut and what genes they are expressing, right? So again, it is not that simple that when they sense some nutrient or ingredient, they express a particular gene, right? They and that gene actually transform your that is actually copied into an DNA is copied into an RNA, and RNA transforms from gene sequence to a protein which perform a function, right? And again, this function could be producing certain pro-inflammatory molecules and anti-inflammatory molecules, or certain metabolites or certain nutrients. Again, sometimes it is not available directly to your bloodstream. It is again consumed by some other microbe which produces metabolite which is available in bloodstream, right? So there is always cross-feeding, direct feeding happening. Right? So, first of all, understanding nutrition is not that easy. No one could actually tell you just looking at your blood works that what you should not. There are multiple such interaction happening inside the body, right? And again, depression is mental health issues are really, really, really important. You're seeing a lot of companies, mental health companies focusing on managing mental health. So recently, I was a part of a webinar on the future of healthcare with respect to AI, right? And there were certain styles of focusing on mental health. And again, mental health is something which is not only about therapy or antidepressants or having a counselor. It is there isn't multiple biological pathways which comes into picture, which do impact through overproduction of cortisol, through lack of production of various neurotransmitters, through activation of HPA axis, right? Through through production of various cytokines and biochemical molecules which could impact your cortisol production, or the fight and flight response through gut microbiome which could raise your blood pressure level. So again, I want to mention here that if you are tracking your blood pressure or your heart rates, right? Or probably your blood glucose level, it won't say anything about what is causing until you understand what is causing. Even people will say, you have stress levels, but what increased that stress level? Which hormone was overproduced? Which hormone was upregulated? Whether it's cortisol or nephrin or norepinephrine, fight and flight response, or what specific food, what specific ingredients, what specific pathways being activated. So there are multiple things there. So it is not that easy to understand, and especially in our times when we have so much of toxicity in the environment, so much of processed food. We have seen there's so much of sugary stuff and chemicals being put in various foods, right? So it is again going to disrupt your biological processes. And
Frankly, if you ask me, then supermarkets is the place where you actually go ahead and pick up things which will make you sick. Because
and it is very scientific. So these all companies, food companies, do hire scientists, right? Who advise them, okay, what food is going to uh, trigger that, that particular activation of enzyme, which is going to trigger food cravings, or probably this chemical or this particular form of sugar is going to uh, maybe lead to certain over expression of certain genes of certain microbes or yeast or fungi, right? Which
yeah, for example, we've never been able to get rid of things like noodles and the very popular noodle brands which are like for ages.
specifically in children. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
among children,
stimulates.
yes.
So to understand,
So
what is happening is when you feed them, when you feed such thing and certain microbes express certain genes, they become overactive. They start dominating the ecosystem inside the gut and inside the mouth, and then they will not. So the nutrients would not be available to the microbes who are going to do good things, right? And again, this dominates, and then they when they eat more, they become more potent, more powerful. Then they via vagus nerve or via various pathways, right? They or via metabolic production, they inform the brain to ask more of such foods, and that's how people start consuming a lot of the gut brain axis, as we discussed,
mm,
comes into play, whether it is through vagus nerve, whether it is through you know various metabolic pathways, whether it's through metabolites production, whether it's through neurotransmitter production, right? So again, dopamine could if your microbiome is enjoying pleasure eating noodles and maggi, it would reduce dopamine, again, uh, which would trigger your brain, and then you will ask more for it, right? That's in simple way.
actually,
That's all.
it's the same with potato chips. If you see, then it is the same
Yeah.
with chocolates and all whatever things are coming up for people. So I think these things are something that people should take care of, whether for themselves and for their children as well, because it is going to create an addiction. And when you're withdrawing from these things, the withdrawal symptoms, they're really bad. No, these things are like an addiction. It's none, you
Yes.
know.
So again, when you start withdrawing, there are withdrawal symptoms because your microbiome is asking for more, and then there is a lot of irritation, aggression, a lot of these things you may see in
Aggression.
your children, right? Right?
Whatever withdrawal symptoms from a specific food, if you see, they're always going to be bad in form of aggression, irritability, mood swings. People are also addicted to things like ice cream and cakes and baked products and whatnot. So I think with this we end this talk here. So Sushant, any last words would you like to add here?
So again, first thing is nutrition have a role to play in your brain health, into your mental health. Adopt the right nutrition choices. Do not fall for fad diet. Understand your biology is unique. 95% of your microbiome is unique. So essentially, you need to understand what specific nutrients it will work for you, right? And again, Do not fall for high protein diets and a lot of these things because ammonia is something which is a byproduct of glutamine, which is one of the amino acids, and it could trigger, right? So on a longer time, right? And that said, so fix your microbiome. Your microbiome is the key, whether it communicates or it tells your brain what you have to eat, right? Whether it overactivates your immune response, this triggers inflammation, right? Whether it regulates or dysregulates your hormone, right? Such probably wrong blood tissues could activate your HPA axis, could cause, skin issues and, you know, hair issues, even infertility issues, right? So there, multiple factors at play here. Uh, fix your health, fix your nutrition, and regulate your microbiome activities.
I think that's pretty well said. We need to fix the gut and, of course, the microbiome, the most important organ of the body. So, with this, our talk
And
ends
not
here.
only not only about gut. I'll just add here
Yes,
before we end. Not
yeah,
only about gut, but the microbes in the mouth also, right? Microbes in the mouth
absolutely.
do impact your brain health, right?
Brain
So
health,
again,
yes.
yeah,
So, there's a direct connection between the oral microbiome, the gut microbiome, and your mental health, right? So
yeah.
I think thank you everybody for listening to this talk, and please keep listening to us and tell us what you think about our episodes so far. And we are available on Spotify, we are available on YouTube, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts. So thank you and have a good day.